Hello, this is Victor. I'm here with a new sit and talk. I know that was not too far from the last one, but there is a new topic of the week I also wanted to talk about, and is complex rules versus simple rules. And I will talk here that it has been a little bit of evolution on how I see that. I remember when I was starting to play, I was looking, we were trying to make the rules more complex, try to add to the rules. But as I've been evolving in the game, I think I have more, I appreciate more the streamlined rules, easier way to play, less complex, less rules to memorize, and less effort to play the game. But I realized that you are not losing the fun of the game, so you are still enjoying the game. So first of all, I think if the rules are more complex or less complex, is not making the game more or less interesting. I think what is making the game more interesting or less interesting is if the rules are working well together, if the set of rules are rounded correctly, and if they work well. So, for example, I really like Age of Sigmar. I like more Age of Sigmar when they fix some of the problems they had with the General Handbook. I think the General Handbook really revitalized Age of Sigmar, revitalized Age of Sigmar by adding the points. I think this was good, and the good thing I think from Age of Sigmar is that they make a very easy, straightforward way to count the points, not to the detail, just counting them in gross. And I think for me that was good enough, so I didn't need more. But definitely, I think and this was visible in the community. The game was needing a type of point system, and this way the community, just from the beginning, they start launching ways to count points. So I think this was needed. But on overall rules, I think was a great move from Games Workshop. I think the rest of the rules, they work very well together. They are easy to learn, very straightforward, and then you can have depth by adding these special rules on the units. You can go depth, and you can have more variety, and just by adding these additional rules. So for me, what is very interesting on Age of Sigmar is that just with a very basic core rules, you can make quite at the end a complex game with a lot of synergies, with a lot of different combinations, and a game that is if you think the well-rounded list and the well-rounded armies can have advantage versus just putting there a bunch of miniatures. So I think this is when really I see that this is what I really like of Age of Sigmar, and this is what a little bit is stopping me from playing Ninth Age. When I saw Age of Sigmar, I saw, this was what I was needing on for me. And talking, this is my point of view. So I really enjoying the simple rules. I started playing Age of Sigmar. At the beginning, was a little bit hesitant. I was thinking, okay, maybe this is too simple, but let's give a try. I realized that I was needing the points. I have to be clearly open there. I think the points were needed. It's very difficult to balance without the point system, and we started using a comp system or point system just from the first day. This was really a thing that we were needing, and we used several comms from the beginning, and everybody that started Age of Sigmar know that there were several communities or several people in the community doing a point system of different types. And I think at the end, Games Workshop did the right step, adding them on the General Handbook. And it's showing with the big amount of people that just joined Age of Sigmar on the last year. So then going to 40k, I think 40k was needing a streamline as well. It was too complex, too difficult for new people. I was used to 40k rules, so it's not the same. I will say when you start in a game, it's not the same that you are in the game and they add a bunch of rules and you just have to learn the new edition rules. Then you starting from zero and you have to learn a lot of rules. That is a big bunch of rules and you have to learn them all. This can be a pile of rules that you cannot swallow, and it's difficult for new people to come into the game. So if you want new people in the game, you need easier core rules. Core rules that you only explain quite fast. People can start rolling dice and enjoying the game. And of course the rules will have, when you go, or when you make the rules simple or the abstraction, I would say that the rules are quite abstract or are quite, of course there will be situations where they don't match what you expect from real, and I put the reality in between brackets because it is not reality in Age of Sigmar, or isn't a real world at all. But what I mean is that, yeah, I understand you have to sacrifice. For example, in 40k you have to sacrifice giving phasing to the vehicles. You have to make the vehicles simple. This simplifies a lot the rules for the vehicles, how they interact with the rest of the miniatures, and makes the game faster, more streamlined and easier to play. And at the end, you are not losing. And for me, the important thing is that when you start playing, you realize that you are not losing strategy options. You are not losing. It's not the game, or from tactical point of view, the game is not stupid, to say it in a way. So you really need to think what you do, and if you are not really thinking the movements, it's difficult to win. So it's not like that that the decisions does not matter. The decisions in the game really matter, and it's important that you do the right decisions to win the game. Of course, there is the part of luck. There is a part of some units are stronger than the others. What I mean is that, but you still need to. It's not a game that it's completely random, and the decisions is not making sense. So, yeah. Going back, I like simple rules, and on 40k the question why Beans was putting as a topic of the week is the points system in 40k. In 40k they create two different point systems. I think it's called power points or power scores, I don't know. But one is that you just pay a fixed number, like in Age of Sigmar, for unit, and then there is the other one that is very detailed, very granular points. And I think, yeah, in tournaments I understand that they want to go to the very granular, to the detail, but I think it's really interesting because you can, if you don't want to spend a lot of time building a list, you just grab some miniatures, you count points more or less with this draft system, and you can know if you are more or less balanced or not, because at the end, yeah, the balance does not exist in these games. And even you can go by the detailing points, you will be also things that are not are cheaper than what they used to be, or there are things that are super useful. So yeah, balance is just you want to be as balanced as possible, but of course there is not a perfect system in terms of balancing. You can go more granular, since more fair, but it's also a lot of work, so there is a limit how deep you want to go on the detail. And I think it's great that they have put the 2 points, the 2 system points, and yeah, and when you're starting, I think for people starting, the less detailed system is great because it's making much easier the way to experience and how to experience the game. It's making the people to start gaming much easier with less detail. So I appreciate both in that case. I will say I appreciate both. I understand for tournaments you want to go detail, and I understand for new players you can sacrifice the detail and go less granular. But so far I think both streamlines for me are welcome. I really like what they did in Age of Sigmar in terms of rule simplification. I really like what is done in 40k in terms of rule simplifications. I think they are the right steps, and then you put these special rules on the units that this together with the very simple core rules makes the game interesting and give a lot of options in terms of strategy and tactics. And yeah, just to summarize, I think that you don't. For me, the summary is you don't need complex core rules to have an interesting game where you need where the tactics are important. Just the point is that the simpler the rules, the more abstract will be the game, right? Rest, as for example, chess is completely abstract. It's a completely abstract game. The core rules are very simple. The pieces, the models in the case, or the components are fixed, and everything is super abstract. But yeah, you can start going more in detail and start adding more complexity. And start making more complex and try to simulate more reality. Is making the game more interesting or less interesting? It depends a lot on the taste of everybody and how much complex you want to go. I think if you go too complex, you go too niche. If you go too easier, then can be a problem that your decisions are not important anymore, and it's just a matter of luck. So you have to find the right balance. And what I think is now, for me, Age of Sigmar and 40k looks like to have the right balance in terms of complexity, random, and yeah, and how the core rules are looking like. So, but now I want to know your opinion. What do you think? You like more games that try to simulate the reality very well, and of course it's just a simulation, or you prefer more streamlined rules, easier to learn, and more straightforward? And I will say this is changing. I think this is changing with the time that you have to learn rules, with the motivation. I don't think I'm less motivated. I think it's because of all the other things around the life. I have less time to invest on learning rules, and I appreciate when the companies streamline the rules and make them easier to learn. And that's all for this video. Now I want to see in your comments below your opinion, and please let me know what do you think on the new rule sets. And yeah, give a like if you have liked this type of videos. Let me know if you like this type of chatting videos, and if you want to see more of them as well in the comments. Any feedback is highly appreciated. And as usual, thanks a lot for watching, and see you again later. Bye.